Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's discussion on a seminar done by Dr. Frank Felder about resource adequacy modeling and policy in the transition to net zero electric power systems. I'm your host, Selena Ueno, and today I'm joined by none other than Panache Mango and Tawanda. Thank you guys for coming today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get right into it. So, recently, there has been a problem with energy demand in the United States and across the world. AI is everywhere. It's in your phone, your laptop, your iPads. It's in Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Microsoft, ChatGPT, Google. Everywhere you look, there's AI. And there is a cost for using it, demand. As you can see on this chart, in the last 10 years, the load growth demand has been very flat, not much changing. However, in the last few years, as data centers have begun to pop up along with the AI increasing, there has been an increase in the load growth demand. So, what's the problem when there's more demand than supply as we're approaching? This can lead to blackouts across an entire grid. So, what do we need? A reliable grid. And there's a couple things we have to consider for reliability of a grid, such as coal plants retiring or transmission lines retiring, generation interconnection taking time, or what we like to call VIRE, which is variable and intermittent renewable energy sources, such as solar and wind, becoming more prevalent in our energy systems. So, today we're going to be talking about resource adequacy. This is the ability for power systems to meet demand at any time. This is a very important factor to consider for grid reliability, and an important factor to consider for resource adequacy is resource adequacy modeling. Now, my guests, would you guys like to explain what resource adequacy modeling is from an engineering standpoint?
Okay, I'll take that one. Thank you, Selena,
Thank you.
for the definition that you just gave us. So I like how resource adequacy is the ability of an energy system or a power system to meet that demand at a specific location and at a specific time. So from my understanding, based on the definition that you just gave and from the last presentation by Dr. Frank Felder, I have started to understand that when you're talking about resource adequacy modeling, it's more of an assessment of sufficiency. We are talking about a tool that we use to assess if an electric grid is able to meet electricity demand reliably. And this is done by simulating a wide range of operating conditions, weather scenarios to quantify the risk of an energy resource failing. So Dr. Frank Felder highlighted the use of the Monte Carlo model in resource adequacy analysis, which is a method that simulates thousands of future scenarios to evaluate the risk of power shortfalls and overall grid reliability. This approach accounts for uncertainties in electricity generation, in transmission, infrastructure, and weather conditions. So by modeling a wide range of possible outcomes, it helps ensure that there is sufficient generation capacity, energy supply to different time frames and locations. So ultimately, it supports strategic planning by identifying the types and amounts of resources needed to maintain grid stability and meet reliability standards under varying conditions.
Thank you. That was a very in-depth description, and I think that you really highlighted the importance and how many factors are playing into this model. So now that I know what that is, what are some of the key aspects of the modeling process?
Okay, some of the key aspects that we take into consideration when doing the modeling process is one, we have capacity credit assessment, which is a vital component in resource adequacy modeling. It evaluates how much a power resource, particularly variable sources like wind and solar, how they can be reliably counted on to meet electricity demand during those periods of system stress, such as peak load conditions or extreme weather conditions. This assessment helps planners understand the dependable contribution of each resource, ensuring that the grid has sufficient firm capacity to maintain reliability under uncertain and challenging conditions. Then we have what we call transmission and interregional coordination. They play a crucial role in resource adequacy modeling. We are talking about, we are considering physical and operational constraints of the transmission network, as well as the ability to share electricity resources across different regions. We're talking about New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. So by enabling power transfers between these areas, it enhances system flexibility, it improves access to a diverse mix of generation sources, and it helps mitigate localized shortfalls. So effective coordination across these regions, it strengthens the grid reliability, and it supports a more resilient and efficient energy system. Then the last one was risk-based measurement, which is a foundational approach in resource adequacy modeling, where a system reliability is evaluated using metrics that quantify the risk of failing to meet electricity demands. So instead of relying solely on forecasts, this method uses probabilities, like it's a probabilistic approach. So we are talking about loss of load hours, among other metrics, to capture likelihood and severity of potential shortfalls. So these metrics helps planners understand how often and how significantly the system might underperform, guiding decisions to ensure sufficient capacity and maintain grid reliability under uncertain and variable conditions.
Thank you. Wow. I agree. Those things are very important. And I do recall Dr. Frank Felder really highlighting the variance of solar and wind and whether you had a battery or not and the importance of that, as well as the working together of the different states, and that also really making a difference in such a rapidly changing landscape. Thank you. That was great. Now, can you guys explain what these metrics are that you just outlined at the end there, the risk-based measurements?
I'll take that one. We have three matrices that we use, which are the loss of load expectation, which is the expected number of hours in a year that load loss or generation deficiency occurs. In the United States, by these standards, we estimate that it has to be 24 hours in 10 years.
Wow.
We also have loss of load probability, which quantifies the chances of a system being unable to meet its demand with the available generating resources. And we also have unserved energy. This is the expected amount of energy not supplied by generation during a period due to insufficient generation.
Wow. Very important factors to consider during running these models. Thank you. So, from what I hear from both of your explanations, it really seems like these are all the moving parts that work to build the reliability of an entire energy system. Are there any considerations that are taken with these variables on a high level in terms of regulations and guidelines?
Oh yes, we have what we call the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC. It sets the standards that mandate the reliable planning and operation of bulk power systems in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. These standards establish the requirements to prevent cascading failure and protect against disruptions such as cyber attacks. So these aspects include setting threshold for frequency, voltage control, and requiring personnel training, establishing emergency plan, and mandating cybersecurity. So to prevent this, we have to prevent the cascading failure, we have to ensure the system stability, and also promote risk management. So the key principles are mandatory compliance, performance-based standards, clarity and practicality, risk focus, and yes, that's what the NERC standards are all about.
Yes, and these are very important and very relevant. I also remember Dr. Frank talking about a cascading situation in Virginia a couple years ago because the frequency control of the grid wasn't being met, and like a domino effect, data centers started to remove themselves from the grid and use their backup generators since they have such a small window of frequency that they accept. They're very sensitive. Yes, so these are very important things to consider. I think we've learned a lot from events like that and data centers becoming more frequent. So, to move on, apparently PJM has released a proposal recently, which is their announcement to kind of see what they can do for this increasing problem of data centers coming online and having more demand. So, PJM proposed that they will accept data centers onto the general grid. However, they will cut them off power from them first before ordering rolling blackouts. How do you guys feel about this announcement by PJM?
Okay, I think I'll go first. I think the proposal by PJM is fair because, as we all know, data centers, they consume massive amounts of energy. So these are often subsidized by ratepayers, which don't benefit directly. So the PJM forecast that 30 gigawatts of new demand from data centers by 2030, so which is a huge increase. So by prioritizing residential and small business customers ensures equitable access to limited grid resources during emergencies. Because if we give preference to these data centers, they are going to consume a lot of energy, and apparently the customers won't have sufficient enough, especially for the essential service. We're talking about hospitals, we're talking about banks, even homes.
Very important.
Let me just give a quick interjection on that. You mentioned that the critical services, since this is the 21st century, everything relies on data analytics, and artificial intelligence. So if you decide to cut these off, which means the servers that serve the hospitals are down, that serve the banks are down, we can have a crisis on our hands. So I think these data centers should be given top priority, since they are, I can call it the backbone or the anchor of the digital revolution, if I may put it that way.
Okay, I really get you there, Tawanda. But now, PJM must meet, you were talking about the NERC earlier, the reliability standards. So PJM must meet the NEC reliability standards, which require maintaining adequate reserve. So by designating data centers as interruptible, PJM can better manage peak load risk and avoid violating these standards. Because without curtailment policies, this could overwhelm the grid, leading to like what Selena was talking about earlier, widespread blackouts and brownouts. So I think it's fair enough to cut these data centers off so that the PJM can meet the NEC reliability standards.
Yes, I do understand where you're coming from, but if we cut these data centers off, it will, because these data centers are in business, so which means there will be revenue losses due to these blackouts, which PJM supposedly wants to propose, and also, yeah, I think it will affect their profits, their revenue, and also which will lead to them. If the PJM wants to cut these data centers off, this will lead to these data centers bring your own generation, which considered the economics of the situation, they will resort to fossil fuels.
Yes.
Which will release greenhouse gases, giving it a ripple effect. So I think data centers should be prioritized.
All right. So
I wonder, since you mentioned how data center has important tasks that have to be done for the general population, which are very real time, and they have to do it as the offers come in, I wonder, is there a way for us to prioritize the real-time things that are needed from data centers and maybe push back the other functions that they're doing for another time or to a neighboring data center, perhaps?
yeah, I think there is a way so that we can probably not cut off the data centers completely, as well as prioritizing the people. So there is what we call load shifting. So the reason why these data centers, they consume a lot of electricity is during their AI training. So AI training and such things like backups. So when we do load shifting, we are basically doing that high power consumption jobs at a time where there is less demand on the grid. So we're talking about if during the day, that's when there is peak demand, we can push AI training and backup to the night. So if it's during winter where we have high demand for the heating, we can maybe push those high consumption power jobs to the day. We can also integrate what we call, like you said earlier, VIRE, the variable and intermittent renewable energy. We're talking about the solar and the wind. During the day, we can connect to the solar panels or energy storage. Then we run our AI training, we do our backup, or we can connect to wind energy, which will help us reduce stress on the grid. There's also the transmission of those agent jobs to sister data centers. We're talking about if I have a data center in PA, we can maybe transfer it to Maryland or to New Jersey so that we can ease on the PA grid, or the New York can ease their grid by transferring these high power demand jobs to a neighboring data center in PA. So I think there is a way for the both of us, the data centers and us, the regular customers.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to take some understanding from both sides and to work together to be able to find a good balance where everyone is happy with the energy and the prices and how much energy is being met for their demand. Thank you guys. That was a great discussion. So, as we all know, engineering cannot come to life without economic support. As you mentioned earlier, revenue is very important. So where in all of this does economics come into play?
All right. I think I will just get this one. So the data center load growth is the primary reason for the recent and expected capacity market conditions, including the total forecast load growth, the tight supply and demand balance, and these high prices that we have been hearing about. One customer was complaining the last time. I was like, I used to pay $10 for my electric bill. Now I pay close to 30. So which is almost like, what we're talking about, 300%. Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
So in order to deal with this, we need to look at investment signals. So when we're talking about investment signals, we're saying higher prices in capacity markets send signal to investors. So they now ask their question, do we need to build more generation, right? Do we need to build more generation or to improve the existing ones? So economic determines the type of generation which is built. Are we going to do renewable? Are we going to include gas? Or are we going to do the energy storage, the batteries? And where are we going to do it? So economics, that's where it comes into play. So we have also what we call cost optimization, like revenue was being talked about earlier. So resource adequacy models aim to meet reliability targets at the lowest cost, so that we maximize profit, like what Tawanda was saying. So this means balancing capital costs, fuel prices, and operational expenses across different technologies. If you want to implement a battery storage, what is the right battery? What is the right material? We have redox batteries, what we call RFBs. We have lithium batteries. So you need to know which type of battery or which type of energy storage technology are you going to use. So we have to take into consideration the risk and uncertainty. So economics helps quantify the cost of an uncertainty, like extreme weather conditions or fuel price volatility. Like when you're talking about these weather conditions, let's say it's during winter, one time it's going to be like very cold, or it's going to be very snowy. So does your grid have the capacity to withstand those harsh weather conditions? Or in the event that they do, will they be able to get back to generating the same energy or transmitting the same energy as before? So when we are considering the risk and uncertainty, we're also talking about the fuel prices. Oil can just wake up one morning, the price is shooting upwards. So we need to take into consideration the models. We simulate scenarios to find cost-effective ways to maintain reliability. Then lastly, I would say the market behavior. We all know we have the money market, the Wall Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So generators respond to price signals. So if prices are too low, they may retire early. If prices spike, new entrants may flood the market. Economics helps predict and model these behaviors, make it top-notch and expand a bit. So that's what I think. That's how economics come into play when you talk about resource adequacy modeling. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of trade-offs that have to be considered. Very interesting.
Oh,
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
the economic trade-offs. Yeah, that's like what I said. We have to
Yeah.
take into consideration which one will benefit more. Do we need to build a new generation method or transmission, or we can improve an existing one? Yeah, so it all depends on how much or how far off are we from meeting the electricity demand.
Yeah. Wow. Lots to consider. But as Frank outlined during his seminar, all of this is a very current and rapidly changing landscape in the energy field that considers all of these moving parts. And places like PJM are actively working towards finding out what the best solution is to make everybody at least happy and have the electricity that they ask for. Thank you guys for today's discussion. This was a really interesting and fun topic to talk about. And again, I was your host, Selena. I was joined by
Panashe, thank you for having us.
In Tawanda, Uncle T-Dubs.
Yes. Thank you guys for coming today, and we'll see you on the next one.
I don't know.